It's Wednesday night, and that means it's time for the Lamar Thomas Show, featuring the greatest receiver in the history of college football. Just ask them, Lamar Thomas.
I was born in Ocala, Florida. I moved to Gainesville to go to high school. Been recruited probably since the 9th grade, illegally, I might add, by the University of Florida. I still can remember Coach Solinger, Don Solinger, coming out to our practice one day. Here it is, this guy comes out in the University of Miami jacket, and I said, I can't believe that's Miami out here. And, you know, I wanted to go up and say, hey, I'm Lamar Thomas. And actually, I did walk up to him and I said, hey, Coach, I'm Lamar Thomas. And he said, I know. And that was the start of my relationship with the University of Miami.
Patton, another good block, and Toretto lays it out.
You come down here, you'll be on TV every weekend, dominating. I thought about it. I said, man, where do I sign? My mom, on Saturday mornings, I would wake up and she'd be holding my hand. I thought she was the weirdest lady in the world. But she was holding my hands and she would be rubbing them and saying, one day these hands are gonna make you a lot of money. She was smart.
So now, here he is, the great one, along with co-host Gary Ferman of CaneSport.com, Lamar Thomas.
There he is, back from Gainesville, or shall we say
Gainesville,
the former hometown of LT.
Illegally, I might add.
Welcome, everybody, to a new season of the Lamar Thomas Show. I'm Gary Ferman. He's Lamar, and we're hoping that we're going to have a lot of fun on this show this season because we found out very quickly on Saturday that this year has the potential to be a little bit different than what we've unfortunately had to grow accustomed to for the last 20 years. And LT, you were there live and in living color in Gainesville. I have proof. There you are, right there at the Swamp with our man Devin Hester, and they let you guys on the sideline after a little bit of work. And just to tell this story real quickly, like they didn't want to let Lamar and Devin Hester on the sideline. Florida tried to not credential them, but Lamar's got friends in high places, and
We figured it out.
They figured it out, and he was there in LT. It was a really special day for the Hurricanes, no doubt about it. Just summarize your emotions and impressions coming out of that trip to the Swamp.
Well, it started with obviously the Friday night party Canes were put on. We had a huge turnout, but we basically took over downtown. It was Canes fans everywhere, and it was a great turnout. People just having fun and looking forward to the game, and then it carried over until the next day where we got up and everybody tailgated, and we were so excited. All the Canes fans, we were excited because we knew that what was in store for those Gators. And being down there on that sideline obviously was it was surreal because I played my high school football in that stadium, and to see the Hurricanes come through there. And the last time I remember number 36 getting that interception, Mo Sykes, and returning it for a touchdown. And all I was saying, let it be like that. And it was even better. This time was even better, and it could have been worse. And just to see all our Cane fans, obviously the 4,000 people that were there, that they allowed us, they were loud, And by the end of the day, they'd all moved down and had to take over. And, Gary, you should have seen those Gator fans hightailing it out of there after they sang their Tom Petty song. It was
Oh,
awesome.
I saw it, man. I was there. Yeah, I saw it every minute of it. It was something else. So you notice that I've got CaneSport in my background. Lamar's at CaneSport. We welcome CaneSport back as the presenting sponsor this year of the Lamar Thomas Show. The entire season will be presented by CaneSport, which is your ultimate destination for all of your hurricane merchandise needs. And this is a big week for CaneSport. They've got the store. You can see all that merchandise they've got in the store there, stocked up on the shelves, just waiting for you guys to come by. You got the Cam Ward jersey, all the new Adidas gear. Just everything's ready for you guys to come by before the game this week or on your way to the stadium on Saturday and load up for this new season. If you go on a tailgate at Hard Rock, they've got plenty of tailgate gear that they can hook you up with. CaneSport, I think, has evolved because some of the other stores that people have traditionally gone to in the past, they are honestly on the decline. I mean, it's the truth is the truth. And CaneSport is on the rise. And I think you'll find that CaneSport is your ultimate destination for all your hurricane needs. They're at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. If you can't make it to the store, you can go to CaneSport.com 24/7, 365 and load up on all your hurricanes merchandise. And we'll talk a little bit more about CaneSport later. They'll even hook you up with the gloves. The gloves that did you wear gloves when you played the LT?
Not like these. Not like these. I think don't tell anybody, but I think these were Restrepo's. I snatched them off the sideline. So I'm a
you wanted a collector's item.
Yeah. I had some collector's item. I actually took a picture in the middle of the Gator, and that was a special moment in itself.
Oh, you got one for yourself too. We got this one of one of the fans with the Gator. They put a little
my picture was on the field in the Gator after the game. I'll send it to you a little later. Oh yeah, it was so awesome to be in that stadium and for us to win the game. I mean, it was just a great weekend. And by the way, let me give a shout out to my mom. It's her birthday. Happy birthday. Love you, Mom. And she let us, we stayed at the house. It was just a great environment. My brothers came to the game. It was just awesome. Only person we missed was my sister, who was overseas playing basketball. She was kind of salty that she had left a week before, but she's a Cane herself. So it was just a great environment. My mom and dad, and it was just awesome. I couldn't have asked for better, other than us putting up maybe 70, which we almost did, and we should have. And we'll talk about that later. But it couldn't have happened to a better program. I'm just glad we blew them out. I wanted even more. I wanted Mario to run it down their throats all day long.
It had to be pretty cool to go back home. Which Gainesville is where you grew up, and to be able to then leave with your head held so high over the way that Miami played, absolutely dismantled the Florida program. And, we're going to talk a little bit about the different ways that they did that. But we're only 1 week in to this football season. And when you look at the struggles that Florida State's having, Miami looks like it's the king of the state of Florida already in 2024. Like, we don't want to get ahead of anything because they got to sustain this now for an entire season. But it's looking pretty favorable for a Miami state of Florida takeover, Lamar.
Well, obviously, we got to play the game. So we have to beat a Florida A&M. We have to beat a USF. And we have to just run the table. But we beat those two teams. I think we'll be in pretty good shape. And those other programs, they have some problems. When you talk about the Florida State Seminoles, I can't lie. I was pulling for Boston College. Okay, there's nothing more satisfying to see those Seminoles and those Gators, both fans crying. The Seminoles, to see the ball run down their throat, I had to call Derek Brooks, and he was like, "Hey, man, I haven't heard from you in 4 years talking football." And I said, "That's okay. I'm back, baby. I'm back. I am back. The Canes are back. The Canes are, you know what? It put us in the perfect light, prominence. You know, here it is. We're back in. Football is great. The world is great when the Canes are back being loved and hated. That's what it's about. When we were down, the world was not that good. But now, you know, the Gator fans are hating us now. The Seminole fans are definitely hating us. And we're just going to keep it rolling. And I am so excited, man. I might even buy me one of these Cam Ward jerseys, man, because he is a special quarterback. Special.
You know, Gino Toretta was commenting that if he had an offensive line like Miami has this year,
he might have had 2 more Heisman trophies.
Little dig at Mario that he might have won two Heisman trophies instead of one. But LT, I don't think you could say if I had a better quarterback like Cam Ward back then, you know, I would have been the top pick in the NFL draft or something. I don't know. Gino would appreciate that.
Well, I could tell you this: I don't think Cam Ward would really need me with the receivers that he has. He has a group of receivers. Kevin Beard finally has some depth, and he's excited about it as a coach. You know, when you have 3 guys and you know have no bench and a bunch of walk-ons, that's not a great scenario. But now you got some transfers in there. You got some young guys that are eager and ready to rock and roll, and he's excited. And I mean, if I'm Cam Ward, I'm enjoying having all those options to go to. Plus, they're throwing it to the tight ends. How about that? The long lost tight ends.
LT, they had almost as many yards from the tight ends in this game than they had the entire season last year. It's like 20 yards less than they had the entire season throwing the ball to the tight end. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come. We really got a nice taste of what Elijah Arroyo can bring to this offense. All right, we decided we're going to inject some youth into this show this year because Lamar and I are getting so damn old. You know, we say, man, I got a few grays. You know, Lamar's got the beard is coming in heavily. We said we got to inject some youth into this show.
More so pepper than salt.
We've recruited CaneSport's own Izubee Charles to be part of our team here this season. And Izubee, first of all, welcome to the Lamar Thomas Show. You know all about LT. I don't know how much you got to see him play.
I don't know if he was born yet.
I don't know if you were born yet, but you were in Gainesville also and got a chance to experience what went on Saturday. What were your general impressions?
I absolutely loved everything I saw from the Canes on the field, and thank you guys for letting me come on the show. I've been waiting for 2 years. It's finally my moment to be on the LT show, so I'm ready to make a strong debut. But out of all the things I love the most, I think I said it a little bit before the show. After the game in front of the Swamp, you saw LT walking around with his national championship ring saying, excuse me, national champion coming through, excuse me. And I was just like, man, this is awesome right here. You got LT, touting around with the championship ring. You got the Canes fans dancing on the Gator. It was like, what else can you ask for in that big win? So it was awesome. On the field, like I said, loved everything I saw from offense to defense. Didn't have to do too much and dominated like that. So that's all you could ask for with the big game against the Gators. And, excited to see if these guys can keep up this, throughout the year.
Well, like coming into the season, there couldn't have been more hype. I mean, with 41 new personnel acquisitions, the transfer portal, the commitment to NIL that Miami's made. I mean, it was all on the line going up to Gainesville, Lamar. If they don't win that game, forget about winning it as impressively as they did. If they don't win that game, you're almost pushing things back to square one. I mean, in this reclamation of Miami football that hopefully is taking place now before our very eyes. But they passed every test. You could check off every box. I mean, Miami was pure money up there on Saturday.
Yeah, Gary, when you talk about the off season, as we well know, we've been the national champions of the offseason for the last, 18, 20 years. And, a lot of fans were just tired of it, just tired of hearing about how great we were in the offseason. And they were kind of in a wait and see. But this year, I really believe after watching that first game, actually for me, being able to go down there last week and watch them practice on that Wednesday, I was like, you know what? The step is going to be taken, and they're going to get over this hump because those kids, those young men, were attentive during practice. There was no joking around. They were ready to rock and roll. I mean, Mario talked after practice about these next 72 hours will be big in your life. And, I think they took it to heart, and they went out, and the game plan, I love the game plan that they had to run the ball between the tackles, dominate the trenches, take the pressure off of Cam in this environment that was supposed to be where Burrow and Bo Nix have gone in there in their first opportunity and pissed down their leg. Take it out of his hands and just let him be comfortable. And I think they did all that because he looked so comfortable back there that I think I saw him one time make a sandwich and check his watch. I mean, it was incredible to watch.
It was incredible
back there. And kudos to the offensive line and the job that they did keeping him upright.
I mean, we've had great quarterbacks in this program. You had Gino, Jim Kelly, Bernie Kosar, Vinny Testaverde, Steve Walsh, Craig Erickson, Ken Dorsey. Lamar, we've never had a quarterback, and Izubee, I don't know if you've ever seen a quarterback play the way that Cam Ward played on Saturday. The style, the swag, the poise, the way that he would just come strutting out there. He'd call the play, and he'd just be kind of like you just said, Lamar. He'd be hanging out for at least 10 seconds, just looking around it was like he's at the beach or something. And he's just checking it all out. And then he would get in his mind what he wanted to do on the play, and they'd snap the ball, and he would execute it almost perfectly every single time. Have you seen? I haven't. Have you seen anybody play quarterback with that kind of style before? Heck, you had Lamar Jackson at Louisville.
He was in total control of the game. That was very impressive to watch. It's almost one of those things where you just like, man, I want to see. I want to see more. I want to see him next game. I want to see him the next game. I want to see him and this team continue to get better. The national attention that he has gotten now that he didn't have playing at Washington State. Only a handful of people knew who would stay up late at night and just by mistake tune in and say, who's this guy? Knew who he was. I had friends say, I remember that guy. He played at Washington State. I was up one night tuning the channels and I saw this quarterback. He was pretty good. And now he's with our program. And he's the leader. He's truly a leader that we've been looking for as far as, and I know it's one game, but this whole offseason, he's been a leader. All fingers point to his leadership and the way he's kind of brought this team together and said, hey, we're all in this together. It's been incredible to watch.
He was at Washington State. Izubee, I'll ask you this. You watch football. How much of Cam Ward did you ever watch before he came to Miami? I don't think I watched him play one game.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When he was at Incarnate Word, I knew who Cam Ward was because I'm a football junkie, and for some reason I was just checking ESPN stats. I was like passing leaders, just like 2021 or 2022. I see Cam Ward, I'm like, damn, who's this kid? All right, he's putting up these amazing numbers. He goes to Washington State. I used to love the Pac-12 After Dark, so I was probably one of LT's friends. Watching him at midnight after all these games over, like, damn, this kid's really good. Maybe if he hops in the portal, he might take his talents to South Beach, but he ended up doing that, and it's just amazing to see. And you mentioned all the great Miami quarterbacks, back in the early '90s, '80s, and before that. My first memory of a Miami quarterback was Ja'Cory Harris, and I thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. So seeing Cam Ward, do what he's doing at Miami, it's awesome to see what that offensive line with those weapons that he has a wide out with those, stable running back. So I think the sky's the limit. And, like you mentioned, one game in Miami, you have him as a, first round draft grades, people projecting him getting, picked by the Jets, Heisman, all this and that. I feel like this is exactly what he wanted to do, to come to Miami, make a name for himself, boost his draft grades, boost everything. And he's doing that in game one, and just want to see him continue to do that in the next, 11 games of the regular season.
Well, he's out at Washington State. They play late. A lot of people are sleeping by the time kickoff takes place out there. I mean, Izubee might have been watching Pac-12 after dark, but
he's young.
Yeah, you're young. Exactly. And you're probably just getting going at 11, 12 o'clock on Saturday night. You're probably, going down there to 11 or something afterwards and partying until 7 a.m. and all that kind of stuff. But most people aren't watching Cam Ward. I mean, and, he's a 500 quarterback at Washington State, and the NFL's kind of yawning at him. I mean, let's be honest. If the NFL wanted Cam Ward, he wouldn't be at Miami. I mean, he would be in the National Football League right now. But he was only going to get drafted maybe like the 5th round or something like that. And they were offering him a heck of a lot of money, LT, to come here and be the quarterback. And I credit Shannon Dawson and Mario for having the vision of what Cam Ward could be with a better supporting cast. This is a big difference when you got, running backs, like he's got with, Fletcher Martinez, when you've got wide receivers like Restrepo and Sam Brown and Jacoby George, tight ends like Arroyo, Riley Williams, Elijah Lofton, and O-line. I mean, even Gino's gushing at the O-line and how they protect him. It's a whole different deal than being at Washington State, where you're behind all the time. You're having to throw the ball way too much. Defenses are teeing off on you. You're running for your life, and you can't represent yourself clearly the way he is capable of representing himself based on what we saw Saturday. And, so I credit Lamar, the coaches that had the vision to project him into this program. They went all in on Cam Ward based on that projection, not as much as what they saw on the field at Washington State, but what they saw on the field at Washington State and how they saw that it could translate to what they could do with him at Miami.
Well, there's some losers in this whole thing, and they're north of us because they had an opportunity. They truly had an opportunity. They didn't want to pay the bucks. It's crazy because back in the day, everybody thought we were getting paid down here. They really did. You talk to these guys at Tallahassee, and you talk to these guys in Canesville, oh, y'all getting paid. No, you guys are getting paid, and you suck. We're playing because we want to play, and we want to get to the league, and we're going to do everything we can to get to the league. But the fact is, they made a decision, wait and see, and, maybe putting him on the back burner, and he chose to come to UM, and we are excited. I was just very amazed. And let me tell you this. When I went to practice on last Wednesday, there was a little thing where they were doing a 2-minute drill, and Dawson got on him because he thought something, and Cam was right. Cam was 100% right. Dawson came in the equipment room. I was in there, getting some gear. And he said, man, he was right. I said, well, did you go apologize? He said, you're damn right I did. And I said, that right there to me showed the connection. Because I said to him, Bobby Petrino wouldn't apologize. But the connection between those two and how smart Cam is in tune to this offense. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was a play where he was pointing at the safety, telling the safety to move over. That's where you're supposed to be. And I think the safety's pride wouldn't let him move over. But Cam was absolutely right because the guy was trying to disguise a coverage. And Cam knew what he was doing and said, hey, bro, you're supposed to be over there. That's being in control of what you see and what you know in an offense.
got to be demoralized. Izubee, put yourself in the shoes of a young DB, and the other quarterback is sitting there telling you where you should go line up, and you're getting ready to get slayed. I mean,
the only other thing that could be more demoralizing is a team up north, way up north, called Boston College, taking a knee when they could have scored some more points.
No, if I was a DB playing against Cam Ward in that offense, I'd be furious. Especially, you know, the first series, Gary, we saw when he was running out of bounds, he was kind of taunting them like, "Hey, come hit me, come hit me." I'd be furious. I'd be wanting to, you know, take his head off. And then every other touchdown, you guys doing the Gator chomp, throwing the thumbs down. You got Cam Ward doing his little celebration after every touchdown. I'd be furious. And then the cherry on top, walking out the stadium, telling the recruits, "Don't come here." I mean, just all that combined, man, it'd be a bad day for me if I was on that team. But on the serious note, it's great to see as a Miami writer, as a Miami fan, as a former Cane player. I feel like you're probably happy as hell, especially in Gainesville as well, where you're from. So just all around, I just love the confidence and swagger. I don't even want to call swagger this team. It's just they went in there, they handled their business, they left. Nothing else to it. There weren't any stupid penalties that we saw last year. You know, at one point I even saw Jacoby George pulling back Inez Cooper from, you know, pushing a guy on the Gators team. So I just love everything from these guys. Which is amazing. Yeah. And, you know, I saw a tweet as well as like Jacoby George, you know, got hit by a Florida Gator. He didn't retaliate. And we know not last year. He had a few of those penalties where he got a little touchy, got a little chirpy. But awesome to see just little things like that with this team this year.
So there were residual benefits, obviously, when you go to Gainesville and play like that. As for Cam Ward, he's on the top of everybody's Heisman Trophy projections now. Travis Hunter, but Colorado is going to be a 500 team at best. Travis Hunter is not going to be able to sustain that. And you know, Cam Ward is really probably the front runner if he can sustain this. For the Heisman Trophy. And so you got the individual residual benefits of it. And then you got the team residual benefits, guys. You know, Miami jumping up to number 12 in the polls. I honestly thought they might have even been a little higher, but it's early in the season. There's plenty of time to move up. So, you know, Miami taking that jump in the AP poll.
Where did Florida State go? Where did they go?
Man, did you see their game against Boston College the other night?
Of course I did. I watched it with glee.
How about Blake James listen, I was hard on Blake James. He committed athletic director malpractice at Miami. There's no doubt about it in what he did with, you know, hiring Manny without even a coaching search and seeing what else was available. But he learned from that. You know, and he hired Bill O'Brien up there at Boston College, and you saw the immediate benefits of that. They went into Tallahassee, and they handed it to Florida State in every way. And Lamar, let's put a whole different feel to the ACC now. You got Florida State already sitting there with 2 league losses. They were supposedly the favorite to win the league. Miami hasn't even played an ACC game yet. And Clemson.
Don't forget about Clemson. Yeah, I was just about to say the two teams, the two programs that sued the league are now 0-1 and 2. 0-2. Yeah. So I could have better programs.
We'll see what Clemson does once they start playing ACC games. But I would say the whole fabric of the ACC is already different after 1 week, Lamar.
It is. I mean, those two front runners, you know, Dabo. He's had an amazing run. I think his stubbornness is going to catch up with him on not wanting to, which is weird, not wanting to dig in the pocket, which I could swear that those guys are getting paid already, but
they must.
Okay, Dabo. And then Florida State, you know, the mythical regular season national champions, and you know, obviously the Jordan Travis thing. It goes to show you how important Jordan Travis was to their program, just like Cam Ward is to our program. You get a guy like that under center who's a leader, becomes a leader of your team. Those guys just jump on their backs and just ride it all the way in. And You know, I'm just really excited about this year. I can't, you know, I was looking at the schedule. And I was like, well, maybe I'll miss that game. I don't want to miss a game. I don't want to miss a game. This is something that we've been waiting for a long time, and I know the Gator fans are a little upset with us for, you know, it's Wednesday and we're still talking about them, and we'll probably talk about them even after FAMU. But you know, this is we haven't been here in a while. We haven't been here in a while where we're this excited about a Hurricane football team that the Mario Cristobal staff has built, and I'm very excited about it.
All right, so you're down there on the sidelines for this whole thing, and it's insane. It was insane down there. I think it was a good thing for us that there were ACC officials in this game. There was a little bit of showboat and a little bit of celebration in Lamar Thomas style. Let's be honest. A lot of Gator chops out there and things like that. And you know, then we get to the end of the game, and Miami's won, and that's when all hell really broke loose. And I felt like I saw just a release of emotion, and you know, people don't understand. Like, they're either at the stadium, the select few are at the stadium. You know, maybe there were 10,000 Miami fans there, but most of the Canes Nation, most Miami fans are at home watching on TV, and you know, for the last year or whatever, they've been living their lives with, taking care of their kids, going to work, keeping up with their jobs and everything else. And I don't think they get the chance to have an appreciation for how much work went into what we saw on Saturday, starting with the head coach and his 18-hour work days every single day. Okay. Not just every now and then, every single day, up at 4 or 5 in the morning, at the office until 9, 10 o'clock at night. The sacrifices that are made, not being there for being able to be there for your kids all the time, your wife having to be superwoman. And I'm telling you, Jessica Cristobal is the MVP of this football program. I hope she is watching tonight. I mean, that she supports Mario to the degree that she does is, to me, one of the more amazing things that nobody would really have a feel for either. But and the head coach is just the start. He's just the guy setting the example. You got a whole staff of assistant coaches that are, doing the same thing. Basically, they might not work quite as many hours as Mario, but they're not that far behind. Then you got the support staff, the recruiting staff. You can go on and on and on, LT. You've been in that role in a football program. What the euphoric reaction after that game the other night, was that just a release of just everything that had culminated that night, from all the work that they've put in to get there?
Yeah, they put this puzzle together. You look at the pieces that they had to add: coaches, support staff, players, NIL, portal, getting guys out of there, cleaning house. I mean, this has been a work in progress for Mario, that to see him after the game to celebrate and to be that, I think it was a release for him. And just like all of us Hurricane fans, we exhaled. We were like, okay, look at him. And those kids haven't seen him like that. Hell, I haven't seen him like that in a long time myself. I mean, this is he was excited. I mean, this is, when you spend this much time, like you said, away from your family, trying to put this puzzle together, you got the pressure of Canes Nation, where he knows what it's about because he was on those winning teams, trying to get it back to prominence, some type of where people respect the Hurricanes again. This has been a process, a long process, and it's not over. But that's one giant step that was taken for this program, beating the University of Florida in the swamp. Actually, I told him on that Wednesday before to tell the guys to make sure they had their builder's helmets. And he looked at me puzzled. And I said, because we're building condos on the swamp, baby. And he said, I like that, but the fact that today he was much more relaxed down there, and, he was coaching his butt off, but you could tell the excitement is there for him. And, he's eager about and excited about this year.
So, you saw the picture of Mario in the locker room, and Lamar, you were down there on the field with your camera going. I saw you, and all hell is breaking loose in that side of the stadium. Mm-hmm. And for some crazy reason, Florida had and they had a bulk of the top players in the country, right, Izubee? I mean, you saw those kids there, like, they put all the recruits right by with the tunnel where Miami comes on and off the field. Okay. And like, of course, Miami players and staffers and everybody else is going to be waving at them and dapping them up and all those things. It was chaotic. There was a young lady who's one of their key recruiting people. I'm not going to mention her name because I don't want people to go crazy on her. She's supposedly a very nice girl. She's trying to ward everybody off by herself. In fact, I got some. Let me show the video. Get the restore order. Izubee, you talked to a bunch of the recruits. How big of a emotional impact do you think that scene, had in terms of recruiting and the possibility of maybe like a DJ Pickett down the road reconsidering Miami?
No, absolutely huge. I've interviewed DJ Pickett on a handful of times, and that was the happiest I've ever seen him. Talking to reporters. He's never a guy that is, usually too giddy to give out the information, but he was all smiles. He was, very communicative. He was saying this had a big impact, on the way he views things. Obviously, you saw, Justin Scott walk up over there and, dap him up, give him a handshake. Justin Scott's actually roommates with Booker Pickett, so they have that communication prior to that. So they're just chopping him up a little bit. And then you have Joshua Moore, a guy committed to the Florida Gators. He was actually, on campus, at Miami this week. He's always made it clear, hey, I haven't signed any papers. Coach KB's letting me know that they're not going to stop to the end. And if Miami outdoes the Gators this year, they'll have a chance in my recruitment. We saw what happened on the field on Saturday. Miami definitely, outdid the Gators. And, just those are one of the many guys that I feel like this game had a big impact on it. Even in the 2026 class, you have kids saying, hey, this is just showing me that, one program's headed in the right direction. One program's not doing, as well as that. So huge implications on recruiting. And I said it, all throughout the summer. Miami starts winning and keeping it consistent, I think recruiting is going to get a lot more fun and a lot easier with crystal ball.
LT, you've been there. You recruited Lamar Jackson to Louisville. Your thoughts on the staff members, how like you put the recruits right in front of them. Like how is somebody supposed to not say hello to a kid that they talk to every single day? Your thoughts on that whole scene.
Well, I've been in a situation similar to that at Florida State. Here it is, I'm recruiting half those guys, and I'm just trying to warm up my guys. And they're yelling, Coach LT, Coach LT. I mean, and you're not supposed to talk to them, or you're supposedly not supposed to talk to them. So it's a weird type of like you said, when you talk all the time and you see the kids and you see their parents, and what are you not supposed to use, what are you supposed to do, sign language or something? I don't know, but it's a weird situation. But for Florida, I think what happened, they what I heard was they actually told players that were committed to Miami they couldn't come to the game.
That is accurate.
They told players that were committed, and for those kids that were on the ropes, what they should have done is put them to the left instead of to the right. But now, I guarantee some of those guys that were sitting to the left made their way down to the right. Okay, everybody wants to be a part of winners. Nobody wants to be seen with the losers. So those kids gravitated on down. They saw the Hurricanes coming through. You know, kids want gloves. Kids want, you know, hey, what's up? And that's what happened. Unfortunately for the Gators, it was just not a good day and not a good night for them because it was a perfect storm for the Hurricanes to be able to walk that way, and all those recruits were right there. And of course, our guys were saying, come to the U. You don't want to go here, come to the U.
So the celebration then, I mean, you know, listen, the chaos has already broken out. Now the celebration goes into the locker room. You know, it showed you the picture of Mario walking into the locker room and, you know, the crazy celebration. And Izubee, what's one, if you look around the room, you know, I'm going to give you a little quiz here. If you look around the room in this picture, what do you see several of?
Telephones on Instagram Live and all that good stuff.
Okay, yeah, you beautiful. You get an A+ for noticing that. Okay, so the sanctity of the locker room that Lamar you knew in your entire career as a football player is gone. Everybody has cameras, okay? And, you know, Mario's all excited. This is a massive moment for him. He's releasing a lot of that emotion that I just talked about. And he gets up to speak to the team, and he doesn't realize he's being filmed. And he's dropping F-bombs and this and that I assume a player was filming. And then it goes out on social media. And when he came and talked to us Monday, he kind of brought it up. You could tell it was on his mind. I don't think he really appreciated that he was being filmed in that private moment with his team. You know, coaches are used to university film crews being in the locker room. They film them, they cut it up, they put pieces of it on social media. You know, that's standard operating procedure. This was raw. Okay, this was raw footage. LT, what's happened to the locker room sanctity is gone. You know, we are in the age of the mobile device. Everything is being filmed. This is a new world. And I guess, you know, Mario probably learned the hard way. He's going to have to adjust to that.
Yeah, it's, again, this is a new world. Even in my receiver meeting rooms, I would not let my kids bring the phones in the room, or they had to put them in the box at the door, because, you know, that's a sacred environment. You know, what's said in that locker room should be sacred. And, you know, it shouldn't be filmed. I mean, it's like filming your parents having sex. You shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? That's just not cool, you know? So, you know, I'm sure he addressed it, and whoever did it, they probably ran their tongues out yesterday and maybe even today. But I think they'll probably learn that, hey, keep the cameras off, especially when your coach is excited and saying some things that, I mean, that's just his raw emotion, okay? He shouldn't have to hold back when you just won a big game in your program's history. Not a national championship by any stretch, but a big game in his coaching tenure, because after everything they've gone through, putting this puzzle together, and Florida supposedly being pretty good, I guess, to Gator fans, but it was a big game. So I don't mind what he said. I've been in locker rooms where coaches have gone off and been excited, and you just look at it as normal. And if you've never been in that type of environment, you probably look at it as kind of weird. But us as ball players, we're used to it. And when you're winning, you don't care what the hell the coach is saying, actually. You're just excited.
By the way, a lot of you are posting comments in the chat, and we'll get to some of your questions and stuff a little later in the show. Izubee, did you realize what he just said? He compared a player filming Mario in the locker room to filming his parents having sex.
Yeah, that
okay?
you shouldn't be doing.
Now,
you shouldn't be seeing
you're a
that.
millennial. You've grown up in the age of the cell phone. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, with that, I feel like that's just excitement. After a game, everybody wants to go on Instagram Live. Everybody wants to, play the music, turn up, have fun a little bit. I don't think it was intentional that he, wanted to give out the post game speech or, blast that everywhere. But just in the moment, like when Coach Guidry's walking off the field saying, I hunt gators, and Coach Cristobal's breaking the chop over. I feel like younger kids that you get on Instagram Live, you have a good time. You're talking to your friends that are at the game, just tune. I don't think there was any malintention in that. It's just something you have to be wary of next time. But I think that'll get nipped in the bud.
The last time Miami had a moment like this was in 2017 when they beat Notre Dame at Hard Rock Stadium. Since then, they have not had a moment like what they had Saturday in Gainesville. And we're going to be visited here in a moment by one of the central characters of that night at Hard Rock, quarterback Malik Rozier, who can relate a little bit to what Cam Ward was, the show that Cam Ward was putting on Saturday at the Swamp. But first, let's take a moment and hear from CaneSport.
Welcome to CaneSport. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, CaneSport has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. CaneSport, the spot Miami fans shop.
Yeah, so football season's here. You want to be all decked out. You want to be in full swing, and there is no better place to go than to CaneSport. And man, those I hope they have a lot. I hope they have a huge stock of those Cam Ward jerseys, LT, because I gotta believe they're gonna need more than 3. So I hope you can keep going there.
They got green too. Green. They got green.
Yeah, they are gonna be in big time demand. And Brett and Ken, if you guys haven't ordered more yet after that game Saturday, I highly recommend you get that order into Adidas ASAP. Because those Cam Ward jerseys are going to be a big deal. But they got more than that. They got hats, T-shirts, obviously, polos, hoodies, flags, any kind of Canes merchandise that you could want, you could find at CaneSport. And you can visit the store at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. Or you can visit them online at any moment in time at CaneSport.com. So CaneSport is always open one way or the other. It's 2655 South University Drive in Davie. It's about 15 minutes north of Hard Rock Stadium. So if you don't get a chance to go this week, make sure that you stop by there on your way to Saturday's game and get yourself loaded up with gear, tailgate, stuff that you might need. And like I said earlier, they even have the best sub shop in Broward County right next door in Las Patas. You can even get some food at the same time. So CaneSport, CaneSport.com, your headquarters for all your Hurricane merchandise needs. And let's go now. Bring in Malik Rozier himself onto the show.
Sure.
Malik, welcome to the Lamar Thomas Show.
Hey, nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Malik, man, what do you say? I mean, we haven't seen something like that since Notre Dame. Just a win, quarterback being in true control. And as you watched the game, what were your thoughts on watching him play?
The first thing I thought was really relaxed, very calm, but locked in and focused. I think there's I had a military, not a military coach, but a football coach that was in the military, and he was like, you can tell that someone understands their mission, knows what to do when they're able, no matter what happens, they're able to fall asleep. So he talked about, he was in the Marines a lot of times before they went to war. they would literally relax. They would be falling asleep. Then they would wake up about 5-10 minutes before. Then they would go out. And he talks about, being relaxed, but also being locked in. And again, when you're in the Marines, you got to be relaxed because, again, if you're uptight and tense, you could make a bad decision. Same thing at the quarterback position. Okay, you want to be very calm and relaxed, but still locked in and focused. I feel like at any point, that was kind of what Florida was waiting for, was that moment for him to panic, that moment for our team to panic. And you can tell because of his poise, because, he's been in situations like this. You kind of talked about playing at Oregon, different stadiums like that. It allowed him to kind of be ready for this. Secondly, I think one thing that really led into it, and we saw it a lot on Saturday, was that he had the ability to trust his offensive line. Yeah, there were some pockets that he had to make his plays, but I'd say about 80 to 85% of the pockets were great pockets. He had plenty of time, no one around him. He can go through, 2 or 3 reads. I think that was a really good job, because that was one thing I was going to look for. A lot of guys like him, he's coming in with that mentality. Hey, I want to go first round. I want to go to the NFL. I want to make plays. And usually what comes in is you have guys that are gunslingers. And I think that he has the ability to make any throw at any point, but he also can be a pure pocket passer. If you give him that pure pocket, he'll sit in there and beat you all day. And so that's what I was excited to see about him. Obviously he made plays on the run, but he made some phenomenal throws in the pocket as just a pure pocket passer.
Malik, Notre Dame, you were a big part of that game plan, not just throwing the ball, but as a runner. Mark Richt put in some special plays for you, and that kind of allowed you to take ownership of the game in a very similar way to what we saw on Saturday. Tell us about, what's that feeling like to be a quarterback and just like be out there just controlling the game, and what kind of sense of power is that?
To me, that was really why I played quarterback. To be honest, when I was in high school, I was a safety, so obviously you're kind of like the quarterback of the defense. But our team didn't score, so the only way for me to win is, for me to go to offense, because if I put up more points than the other team, then we're going to win. So the more I got into the quarterback position, I really learned that, if you know what you're doing, it's almost like playing chess. You move here, I go there. You run this coverage, I'm going out to this route. Or, hey, you show this look, I'm checking, from pass to run. And I think that's one thing that I really like to see, because you could tell there were some looks where, hey, they might have had a pass play on, but Cam simply walked to the line. They was a too high look, quarters look. He checked to a run. They get 4 or 5 yards. And again, that's something that isn't glamorous, but when you're in control, it's very methodical. Hey, I see too high, I'm going here. So not only do I think that was a good job by Cam, I think that was a great job by the whole staff, by Mario, by Dawson, not only to recruit him and make sure they got a high level guy, but make sure they got a guy that understands football. And I think that's one thing that you saw, like even on the corner route, right? I'm in the stands like, okay, I'm hoping Xavier breaks out. As soon as he breaks, I'm like, ball comes out his hand before he's even breaking, into his corner. If he waits 2 or 3 seconds, even a second later, that corner can kind of redirect, because, again, Florida's fast. Those guys have the ability to recover. So, again, when you talk about guys being on top of their game, when you see balls being thrown before guys are out there breaks, that lets you know you have a guy that understands coverage, and that, to me, was really beautiful.
One of the things, I watched them, like even today, you have to have a connection with your receivers. You have to spend a lot of time with them, and you have to get to know your receivers. And that, I think that's something that we've been missing with Tyler. Hate to bring his name up, but I don't think it was there. Okay, I just don't think the connection there. I watched them today after practice, throwing scramble drills, doing different things that this hadn't been seen on our practice field in a long time. I've gone to practice and them guys have hightailed it out of there. And you've seen it, but this is something different. Restrepo, I talked to Restrepo about 2 years, maybe 3 years ago, and we talked about staying after, getting yourself prepared. It can become contagious when guys see you doing it and making plays, and they say, well, that's how he's doing it. But it wasn't like that. Like he's pulling teeth anymore, because Cam is there. He's there. It's 4 or 5 guys out there doing scramble drills after practice.
Yep.
But to me, that's what it's about.
And I've talked about, to me, that's also Mario's mindset. Even from the beginning when Mario got here, he was like, all we're going to do is put our head down and work. All we're going to do is put our head down and work. Not really going to talk much. We're going to be a good team. We're going to be physical, but all we're going to do is put our head down and work. And I think that whenever you have a coach that consistently speaks, and whenever you bring guys into the building, again, like Ruben Bain, guys like that are going to come in and get that extra work, it makes it very easy for guys like Xavier, like Cam, to bring other people along. Again, it's very hard when you feel like you're the odd duck. And again, I think everyone wants to fit in. But the good news is when you have 4 or 5 guys, especially your top playmakers that are staying after, that pulls the young guys along. And especially when you got young guys that are hungry. I'm thinking of Cole McCarthy, the freshman that's out of Spanish Fort. He's literally following Ruben Bain around like, he's his hip buddy. Like he's everywhere with him. He wants to learn because anything that he's going to do, I'm going to want to do. And to me, I think that's the beauty of not only you have old guys that are setting the standard, you have young guys that are actually listening. You don't have young guys like, nah, like I'm too good for this, or I don't need you, or I can't listen to you. Like I know everything. These kids are like, I know a lot, but I can learn more, and I want to learn more. So to me, I think that's the beauty of it. You have old guys teaching and young guys buying in.
Malik, I wanted to ask you, as a former quarterback, just what was going through your mind when you saw Cam Ward roll out, hit Jacoby George in the back of the end zone? Just how hard of a pass is that to make?
So a couple of things. One, the pass physically is hard to make. You can make it. One thing I think he made it hard was he was drifting more left. So a lot of times I tell my guys to try to even up. The second thing is, to me, to have the confidence to make that decision because the game's moving so fast. He's running left. Not only is he probably scanning the guy in front of him, he's looking at the depth of the safety. And to be able to determine that, the speed of Jacoby and hit him on the run, to me it's a lot of confidence. But to me, the way that he threw that ball was like, I've done this all the time. It's something that I do routinely in practice. So to me, I think that's what at least made me feel comfortable because it didn't look like something awkward. Like you can tell when guys are just trying to make a play and they never made it. For me, that was like a routine play that, Cam's made consistently.
Hey Malik, what about just the style? The like I've never seen anything like it. We've had amazing quarterbacks in this program. I've been covering it for a long time. I've never seen anything like this. Like just the way he carried himself, the swagger, the way he just stood there and surveyed the field before every play. When he scrambled, the way he ran out of bounds with like he didn't have a worry in the world. I mean, he owned the swamp. I mean,
So the two things I'm going to get very interested in. Number one, and to me, and I'm not saying this is him, but I think this is something that the more we get used to using the headphones, I'm interested to see how many people snap the ball before 15 seconds. Because again, right, we break the huddle real fast. It's 28. Dawson, hey, I'm seeing quarters. Okay, I'm seeing that too. Okay, the safety's not going to blitz. Okay, linebacker. Like Dawson can still talk about what the headset all the way up to 15 seconds. So I think half of it is, Dawson probably talking. He's okay, like I'm not really going to do shit until Dawson is done talking. I mean, it could be that, and I don't know. I'm not. I'm not.
That's a great point.
I'm interested. And again, I want to go back and look how many snaps were snapped under 15. But I bet you that him and Dawson or Dawson's probably saying, hey man, this is kind of what I see. This is what at least they're coming out in. He could say, hey man, remember first and second down there, 80% quarters. You know what I mean? All he's doing is feeding him little tidbits until that clock taps off, and then boom, Cam Ward goes. And again, it could not be that, but I think that's going to be something that's interesting if that is something that's used, because I remember, one of the reasons why Jared Goff got kicked out of the 49ers was because what's his name, or maybe it was the Rams, where it was the Rams. He said that he felt like he had to baby him before every play. I was having to tell him, hey, you're throwing to the Y versus cover 2, or hey, you're throwing this X on the comeback. And to me, I don't think Dawson's doing that because you can tell there's a lot of pre-snap stuff that he's gripping and ripping. But I am very interested to see, what are they talking about, or is it just him just, being very calm and relaxed? But I think that's a new aspect that could get interesting.
Hey, Malik, let me ask you this. The game plan, okay, going into the swamp, as a quarterback, going into this hostile environment that's supposed to be this place where you can't hear and all this other stuff, and other quarterbacks that are in the league have come in there and their first time have kind of crapped down their leg. But the game plan to run the football between the tackles and then take the pressure off of Cam as a quarterback, how would that make you feel? Like, hey, they're going to let me kind of just fill it out, get this running game going, and then I can do my thing. How's that as a quarterback? How do you feel about that?
To me, that's the best. Again, Gary talks about earlier, 2017, if you go back and look in the second half, I didn't throw one pass, maybe one pass in the second half versus Notre Dame. So again, when you have an elite run game, it makes the entire game easy. Secondly, again, against linebackers, like you were seeing a lot of crosses being thrown, a lot of skinny posts across the middle, because again, the linebackers were too worried about the run game. Secondly, what I like too is whenever you're playing, especially first game, especially big game, teams are going to have kind of, hey, this is the new coverage of the summer. Hey, this is what we're going to run a little differently. Because, again, Florida had guys leaving. They're bringing in new guys. There's transfer guys. So the odds of them being exactly how they were last year, it's likely because obviously they're the same DC. But, again, they could have some tweaks. So what I like a lot of is trying different formations, different motions, and just putting your run game. Now, again, when you get to third down, you do got to throw. But I think that's what I really liked about the way that they did a lot of their run plays where they set up with different formations to kind of say, hey, if we go 3-by-1, what are you going into? If we go 2-by-2, what are you going into? If we go 2 tight ends. So it gave them different sets. So they kind of say, okay, we're confirming that, last year they were 75% quarters. They're the same thing. They're going starting off quarters versus 2-by-2 spread. So again, that's what I like as a quarterback is if hey, I don't have to sit here and from the jump, I don't have to sit here and throw the ball all game. It gives you a drive or two to really kind of figure out, hey, how are they playing us? What is their base coverage? All the stuff that we're going through the scout film is all that confirm instead of like, okay, you're jumping in. And if they could do one thing different, something you've never seen, at least if they do it on a run play, it at least saves you, at least from a quarterback perspective. So that's a lot of what I like. They gave Cam the ability to kind of figure out what they were doing before he, again, had that chance to kind of explode and then take advantage of all the coverage.
Hey, and did you know that we had tight ends? I forgot we even had them on the roster.
The biggest thing I loved, and there was one ball that made me a little nervous. I love his touch. I love his touch. So like the ball to Cam McCormick, I promise you, there was probably middle schoolers that could have caught that ball. The ball floated in. There was two, both other than Martinez. When Martinez came out the flats, and I was like, that ball's floating a little too much for me. But those are what I like to call catchable balls. Those are something that you could tell he's a vet. You know what I mean? The guy's in front of him. He's wide ass open. You don't have to knock him over. Just throw him an easy catchable ball. And that's what I really like about him. He has the ability to zip balls in there. But again, he understands, hey, if the guy's open, let me make it easy on him, especially for me with our tight ends on how much criticism they took last year. The whole, where is our tight ends? He's like, hey, they're here, but I'm going to make it easy on them. If he has to rip one in there, he will. But if they're wide ass open, just make it where he can catch it and turn upfield. And I think that's what I really loved about that Cam McCormick touchdown throw was that ball. Again, it was wide open, so it gave him the ability to throw with that touch. But again, the fact that he understands that is a whole different type of processing from a quarterback standpoint.
I think the narrative we got to watch out for too is the haters will, and I know you're gonna hear it. I believe it's gonna happen. They're gonna say, and I've already had it happen with a guy that works. I won't say his name. A guy that works for ESPN, Booger McFarland. But anyway, I texted him and I said, "What do you think about Cam?" And he said he's a really good college quarterback. See, you got to watch that because that's not saying that he is going to be on the next level. But then again, Booger also said that Lamar Jackson was going to fail. So you can't. The LSU guy don't know shit about quarterbacks. So you know it's coming. You know it's coming. You're going to hear it at some point.
Yeah, so to me, I always said like that's really hard to read, especially from a fan standpoint. Because after talking to guys in the league and like Brad Kaya, I've been fortunate enough to be on other guys like Phillip Rivers. I've been around guys like Mac Jones. The biggest difference necessarily isn't the playbook. I mean, there are different plays, but again, you can only skin the cat so many ways. Why cross is why cross, mesh is mesh, why shallow is why shallow. Like those base plays always be the same. The biggest difference is understanding your protections, understanding the coverages, understanding blitzes. Like it's more of an IQ thing that really makes a lot of people fail than his physical attributes. Again, when you talk about guys like Zach Wilson doesn't really have anything physically wrong with him. He's 6'2 plus, throws the ball 80 plus yards. Same thing with Trey Lance, 6'4, runs a 4.5. But when you look at them, they have things that, to me, it's not fundamentally wrong. They just might be missing, whether it's they process information a little slow, maybe they didn't study enough. To me, I don't think that, again, you watching Cam sideline, I didn't realize the half is over because he's so locked into the iPad. So to me, I think the stuff from that standpoint, that I don't necessarily worry about Cam. Again, you're looking at guys like Gardner Minshew, different things like that. They're starting. Why? It's not because they're crazy athletic. It's because they know what to do when it's, hey, it's cover 3 bell. If the hitch is open, I'm going to left, right, throw the hitch. You know what I mean? They're going to do their job. And again, there are guys like the Caleb Williams of the world that, again, might be Hall of Famers. But again, there's going to be guys like Cam that are going to be really fucking good. They're going to have their IQ. And if you fuck around, you're going to find out that the guy can play football. So to me, I am interested in what he does in the NFL. But to me, I think that's a discussion for what's his IQ. That's a whole different discussion right now. When you watch him play, there's not, to me, 5 quarterbacks that play better than him when you talk about just playing football.
You know, it's funny. We were talking earlier in the show, and I was complimenting Shannon Dawson, Mario, the guys that had the vision to bring him here, because when he was at Washington State, he's on. We were talking. He's on late at night. Nobody's really seeing him very much. He's a 500 quarterback. He doesn't have a lot of talent.
It was guys watching that in the strip club with no sound.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
I love the pack at night. But that lets you know Mario connected to the West Coast, though, because you remember Mario was at Oregon. So just because Mario's over here don't mean he don't got, like, he probably was like, hey, y'all don't even want that's slinging that thing out there. So I'm glad, too, because, again, I watched him some, but I didn't watch him enough to be like, is he good, is he not? But definitely the more I watched him, I was like, oh shit, this guy can really play.
But, I mean, now you bring him here with a better supporting cast, a better plan, and it looks like this will change his entire life. I mean, like you said, are there going to be 5 better quarterbacks that are going to be ready to go into the National Football League after this season?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. There you go.
So,
we'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. To me, like, my biggest thing and what I want to see, and again, I know Lamar, you were there, is how do they lock in after? That was one big thing I felt like last year. I very much felt the same way after we beat Texas A&M at home. Okay, we finally got past an SEC team. It's been years since we beat an Alabama. We barely lost to them at A&M. Everyone was high, like, we're back. Like, we just beat the shit out of all these 5 stars. That you feel me? That's how I felt. After the same way now, like, we beat the shit out of Florida. They weren't as 5-star talented, but shit, we beat them at the Swamp, sold out. They were talking all that mess, and I was like, biggest thing is can we repeat it? Can everyone stay consistent? Can they do their job? Can we wake up and be the same guy each and every day, not let the highs get us too high? And then again, if there are lows, whether it's a loss, whether it's, hey, we're down the game, don't let the lows get too low. So that to me is going to be the biggest I want to see from Cam is how does he engage? Again, if I don't expect the next 2 weeks, but again, if there's a game where we're down 3 points or 7 points, how do they respond? Or again, if we keep blowing teams out, are we playing the same? Or again, kind of like, I'll be honest with you, there were plays like in 2017 we got lucky. Like, I'll take it back. Georgia Tech, right? I threw the big 4th down to Darrell Langham, but people forget 2 plays prior to that, I throw a bubble. Lawrence Cager doesn't block because he had a mental slip. Guy almost catches a pick 6. We got lucky that he dropped it. So again, that's where it's like we won the game, but it wasn't pretty. You could tell there was mental lapses, and that to me was like we were a really good team, but there were certain points. And again, I've had my mental lapses. Shit, I'll take full credibility for Pitt. But it's like we had mental lapses. Not at certain points, it was like whether it was a play, whether it was a game, people slipped away. And to me, that's the one thing that like I encourage all my kids, make sure everyone's locked in. Again, now they have the tablet. So if I'm Cam, I'm walking over to my line, hey, do y'all see this on the tablet? Walking to my sleeves, do y'all see this on the tablet? Like I'm going over through everything, like we're in film study. So to me, that's the biggest that I want to see is as this season keeps going, can Cam keep everyone locked in? Because it's hard, Lamar, you know it. Them kids are down there. Now they got NIL money. Now they're going to have everyone calling them, trying to go out to the club. Like, can you guys lock in? Is the club worth it? I know certain guys that can go out to the club and they can perform very well. I ain't gonna say who, but I know those guys. There's other guys that they go out to the club the next day, they're sluggish. You can't live like that. So to me, that's the side of Cam that he's gonna have to understand that Miami on that side is not Washington State. Where like Washington State, there ain't shit, to be honest with you. Here, 24/7, there's events, there's concerts. So keeping your guys under control, especially talking about these guys having money, these guys wanting to celebrate because again they just beat the shit out of Florida. Keeping these guys in check, I think that's going to be half the issue. Not only issue, but half the battle for him is going to be. I don't say off the field issues, but like making sure your guys are just locked in the entire season.
Hey Malik, 2017, you guys got to 10-0. All right, and then it all came undone. How hard is it to sustain? Now, we saw a great level of play Saturday, but it was game 1, like you're saying, and you're right. People are going to want to go celebrate in the club and things like that. How hard is it to sustain a full season, especially now? If you're successful, this season's just gotten a lot longer. It's not 12 games anymore. It's going to be 14, 15, 16 games. How hard is it to sustain this?
Yeah. I would say the biggest thing is kind of like I said earlier, keeping guys locked in. Season gets long, grades start to come up, especially in the season. You got final exams, you got guys stressing, am I going to pass this class? Like there's a lot of distractions that happen. You got holidays coming up. The next one, which, I think everyone's prone to this, you get guys that get injured, right? So then again, you got to understand for me, and like I love Travis and DJ, but DJ Dallas was a receiver when he first came in that we had teachers play running back because Mark Walton went down. And then again, late in the season, Chris Herndon went down. Then we had guys like people don't know, like Braxton's ankle was messed up going into Pitt and into the bowl game or into the AC championship. So it's like, to me, keeping guys healthy. That's one of the biggest one. Again, you have some injuries, maybe it's at D-line, O-line, backs. Now it's like, shit, the team we thought we had, we got injury plague. So to me, I think that's going to be the next big one, is keeping guys locked in and making sure, again, our guys stay healthy. Because you get some big injuries. To me, I think that's what really could knock us out. And as long as we keep our guys healthy, I think we'll be in a really good spot.
Yeah, and that's very important. We talked earlier in the show about depth, and depth is what wins you championships. That's what won us championships, because it wasn't 1 or 2, it was 3 or 4 that was just as good as 1 and 2. And when they got their opportunity, there was not a let off. And so now, if 1 or 2 is feeling a little funky about himself, you got 3 or 4 that the coach said, all right, bro, you're in.
And you go replaced.
And you will get replaced. And that is where they are. And that's what Mario has built, getting depth. Because when he first got here, there was no depth at all. So now they have where Ruben Bain can go out the game and it was no letdown. Those other guys were just as good, So that is the beautiful part of what the program that he has built. But as you said, a lot of things come into it. It's a long season. Hopefully the leadership will continue to, because you need leadership. You need guys saying, hey, man, we got to tighten up. Okay.
Yep.
You're slacking a little bit. We got to tighten up. And hopefully that's the team he's built.
Yeah. And I think he has. I think that the biggest thing that I really love is when you talk to the guys, you get to know the guys, you hear stories, about the players. You can all tell they all have that same mindset. I just want to work. I want to get better. I want to be the best football player I can be. And so to me, when you have the whole building bought into that mindset, it's very hard to not keep going up. And that was the biggest thing I saw last year. Again, I know, to me, one of the black spots, and I love the kid, was TVD, but when you look outside the quarterback, to me, every other position, they all got better. The running back group was great. The offensive line was phenomenal. The D-line played good. Linebackers stepped up more than I thought they were. Secondary played great. And so to me, when you have that standard and you add in all these other 5 stars, you give, again, a lot of the young freshmen that we had good last year, that they have a second year being in the program, being in the weight room, understanding how to lead, understanding kind of how the day-to-day operates. To me, I think that's the system that Mario's building. That's what I'm excited for. Because that's really what I saw at Georgia, especially on the defensive line side. Like, you go back and look, J.D. Davis, who was the best defensive lineman for Georgia, his senior year didn't even start. The main reason was because they wanted to make sure that on important downs, like 3rd and 3, he's fresh and ready to go. Because I know you're going to get drafted first. Even if you do only play 30 snaps, your 30 snaps are going to be the most 30 important snaps in the game. Because you know who was right behind him? The guy that got drafted to the Eagles first round. What was his name? Oh, man. I can't remember his name. Young bull. I don't know, but they had a freshman 5-star, kind of like a Justin Scott, that later on the season, because JD was a guy, he was high energy, but he ran out of energy fast. They let the freshman come in for the first 2 snaps, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. JD Davis comes in first snap of the game, 100% bull rushing through everybody. Y'all got to double triple now. And so I don't know if we ever get to that where like Ruben's not there, because I know that's what kind of my mindset is, but it's like the depth is so good, it doesn't really matter who's starting, because at some point we're going to get you. And that's what I love that Mario has. It doesn't matter who's in. I saw Moten making plays. There was guys that, I knew some about last year that I'm seeing them come out more and more. And to me, that's the beauty of it, is that the depth is there. And to me, when you have depth, especially for O-line, I'm really D-line, sorry, it allows those guys to play fast, but also allows the guys to stay healthy. If you have a defensive lineman that's playing 45 snaps a game, you know what I mean? That the odds of him getting injured goes up. And again, you have these guys playing 35 or 30, but it's like the important snaps. To me, that's more impactful, and that's going to win you a game more than keeping guys in there for the entire game and wind up getting them hurt later down the season. To me, that's one of the big worries. I know we haven't talked about him, but the big Travis Hunter ordeal. Can he play both? He is playing both, and to me, it's very hard to do that, Lamar. The NFL. I think it's very hard to do that consistently, especially when you're talking about doing that in the NFL. And then you talk about not being injured. So to me, I think that's something that I'm at least glad for, is our depth, even at the running back, right? Because you have Martinez, you have Fletcher back. Jordan Lau really freaking surprised me blocking. That was my biggest thing. Pass pro. I saw him stuff a linebacker in the hole. And obviously the guys I do want to see is guys like Chris Johnson. So we do got backs too. So I think that's the beauty of what he's building, is that it's like, hey, if you're not going to step up, the next guy will. And so I'm excited to see how they keep playing throughout the season.
All right, Malik. Well,
I thought maybe IC had something to say. That's what I call him, IC. You got
Oh, no,
something to say?
Oh, I see.
I'm just enjoying it right now, man. This is my first time on the show, so I'm not trying to step on some toes. Maybe week 4 or 5, I'll be jumping in and everything. Malik, I think you're thinking about Jalen Carter, the guy that was backing up
Yes.
for Georgia.
Yep.
Man.
Carter came there when I first got to Georgia, and so they were really good because they also had Nolan. Nolan was like a sophomore, was a class before him, and that's who kind of Jermaine Johnson played great at Florida State, but the problem was Nolan was so good. It was like, hey, you can stay and be the second string, or you can go somewhere else. And to me, it's like Mario. I don't want us to push guys out, but it's going to be to the point to where, hey, man, like this kid's so good, we ain't got no choice but to play him. And then,
What would you like to see in the FAMU and Ball State weeks? What would you like to see?
To me, a couple things. Just clean football. One thing that I really like that was my biggest concern going into this game, and I watched a lot of the games prior. There was a lot of like false starts, illegal formations, blocking the backs, holding. We didn't really have a lot of technical issues, so keep that clean. That to me is one of the beauty of it. And then secondly, if possible, try to get the starters out before halftime. I think Ball State will probably be a little harder than FAMU, but again, I think that it is invaluable for some of those young guys, especially to me, like guys that are competing for the third job that might get in for the 3s and 4s. Really getting those guys in, seeing who can. And again, I know there's probably a couple walk-ons. I know there's a couple walk-ons that were like preferred walk-ons that came on that had scholarships other places. How do they compete? What can they do? I'll be honest with you. I was there at Georgia when Ladd McConkey was a preferred walk-on, and Ladd McConkey was destroying people on scout team. They'd make him redo the play 3 times. They knew the route he was running. He would still beat them 3 times in a row. So again, there might be a scout team player preferred walk-on that's really good. I mean, we saw with Stetson Bennett as well at Georgia. So again, if you recruit right, get the right guys, there could be 1 or 2 preferred walk-ons. Like he's a lot better than we thought he is, and so that's what I'm interested in. Some of the young guys. I'm excited to see Emory, Reese, Judd Anderson, a lot of the quarterbacks to kind of see, hey, how do they fit inside Dawson's offense? Because again, we kind of need those questions answered. I don't know what they're going to do next year for the portal, but obviously Cam's are 1 and done. So who are your backups, especially at the QB position? Because we see, hey, Mario's creating a machine. We just got to make sure that the guy that's leading the charge in offense is just a guy that can do his job. And so it's going to be very interesting to see, kind of how these quarterbacks operate for the next 2 weeks. Hopefully get to see him versus FAMU and Ball State.
Now he's Malik Rozier, everybody. Wow. We thank you so much for coming on the show tonight and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Man, I feel like just dropping the mic, Malik, after you talk, man. We just need to cut it off and go home. Good job, man. I appreciate you, man.
I'm excited, man. I've been a big Mario fan. I was doing the radios the last 2 years, so I've been pro Mario for the last 2 years. Even when the fans were calling in talking shit, and I was over there like, nope, Mario got us. So I'm hoping that this year it's all of my positivity is finally flowing through. So I'm just excited to see because I saw a lot of stuff he was doing. So I was like, when you see the process, you always hope that the results equal what you've been working towards. And to me, that's why I'm super excited because I saw the work that him and the staff and the guys were putting in, and it's beautiful just now that a lot of that's coming together.
All right, Malik, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, guys.
Man.
We'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much. Man, he was good.
How do you follow that up?
Yeah, he's awesome.
I don't know what to say now. So, I mean, that guy there, I don't know what I should have probably asked him, but man, he should be a quarterback coach somewhere, man. I mean,
well, he does. He runs an academy, and that's what he does. He coaches quarterbacks now, and gets them ready to go. He worked with Tyler Van Dyke a lot. It didn't work out as well as everybody wanted, but he does work with a lot of different quarterbacks. So you're right. He's found his calling. He's very good at it. All right. Hey guys, so we're getting a lot of comments from the fans that are watching tonight. So I figured this would be a great time to go down through some of them and just comment on some of these subjects. Johnny Blaze says that Kevin Beard had those receivers ready to play on the national stage. LT, you and I were talking about this earlier. Restrepo stepping up, Jacoby George making that catch in the back of the end zone. Sam Brown had some good and bad moments. He needs to play better. I'm sure he will. But your thoughts on what you saw from the receivers?
I liked everything I saw. I mean, obviously, like you said, it was 1 or 2 drops, but for the most part, they were getting after it. And Beard is so excited about the depth because now he can, actually penalize a guy for not doing the right thing. And, I think it's, as we talked about earlier, as Malik mentioned, Jacoby George. I mean, last year, how many dumb penalties did he have, right? Well, he's not doing that right now because he knows there are guys behind him that are waiting. And Horton wants the ball. Horton did a great job. I talked to Horton during the game. I said, hey, you got to come off the ball. You got to come off the ball. Come off the ball. Come off the ball. Don't, but those are little things. He was out there today working on coming off the ball, working on the deep ball. I mean, it's just amazing to watch from year 1 to year 3 on what Beard and those coaches on the receiver room have put together, because I was in there in the beginning and there was 3 guys in the front and I didn't even know who the hell the other guys were, and they had some funky numbers on, so they were walk-ons. So this is great for Beard, great for Cam, great for the team, and you're right, he had them ready to play.
The Mad Rapper wants to know, when you were playing, would you guys had gone to the recruits and told them to come to the U?
Yeah, we definitely would. I mean, hell, okay, so you're gonna give us a recruiting violation, and we go, okay, good. And matter of fact, we just said either you come play with us or we're gonna beat your ass when we play you. You got a choice. Just like we told Vanover, and he had to learn the hard way. Split his chin open. You either come play for the Canes or you pay the price. Yes, we would have told him to come to the U.
Izubee, I'll send this one to you. O-line and D-line, they were in beast mode all game long.
Yeah, I mean, you lose your best defensive lineman in Ruben Van, and your defensive line still has that kind of show. And that just, I feel like Jason Taylor and Joe Saturday, obviously you don't want to see that guy go down, but man, does that make you happy knowing you have depth at that position, and a position, that's so important. And in the O-line, that first run, they moved Florida's, D-line 6 yards back. Francis was saying how they wanted to set a tone. Zach Carpenter looked amazing. Ryan Rodriguez, Matthew McCoy rotating the left guard. I feel like that's another position group that has a lot of pieces. God forbid somebody goes down, you can plug in another guy and be comfortable with him. So I think the trenches are in good shape. And, under Mario, that's kind of his thing, trenches, build your program from the trenches out. So both sides of the ball, I think, did really well on Saturday.
Kenny says Cam Ward is the Heisman. What do you guys think?
Right, that first game, I tell you, that first game, he was definitely a Heisman-esque, but it is a long season. We have to remember that, and obviously when we go to sleep tonight, we can think about the good Gator game, but we still have FAMU coming up, and we have Ball State, and those are the games we have to make sure we have a good showing, and most importantly, we have to get those young guys some reps, all those backups reps. I want to see that big old tall tackle get in there. Oh man, I can't wait. I told him today, man, I can't wait to see you mush somebody. I want to see him play. I want to see some of these guys get their opportunity, because again, if we're talking about a 16-game season, 17 or whatever it is to get to the national championship, that's if we get there. It's a long season, and you got to have some type of depth. You got to have guys that can fill in, that is no fall off, and we'll see. We will see. But I can't wait to watch these games and watch some of the younger guys. Hopefully, if the older guys do what they're supposed to do in the first quarter or the first half, let those younger guys play, get some experience, and not taking anything away from that FAMU team, but we should be able to do some good things with those young guys.
Markel Bell, man, he reminds me of he's like a young Bryant McKinney in training. I mean, we're not ready to say he's ready to start and go through a whole season without a sack, but that's what he reminds me of, just because of the size, and he's getting bigger all the time. So yeah, it will be nice to see him. What you were just talking about, Lamar, it's week 1 and they need to play 11 more, 12 more games. Focus onto the next match, Florida A&M. How do you focus on Florida A&M?
Again, you're making sure that those guys that are starting, they go out there and do their job, continue to get better, and understand that, hey man, we want to play younger guys. We want to see what they can do. And it's your job to do your job to let these guys get in the game. We've all been, I was there. We played FAMU and we went up at halftime, and those guys like Chris T. Jones and AC Tellison and Jonathan Harris, they wanted to get in the game so bad, we had to make sure that we did what we were supposed to do, because there was also a game or two that we didn't, and man, they gave it to us. I mean, they were like, hey man, I thought you said we were going to play. We're ready to play. So you hope that the veterans or the starters go out there and do their job, and we should be able to do some good things against these guys.
Izubee, Jason C. Threepo has always been nervous when the quarterback goes to throw the ball. Now he's excited. He says it's been too long. Cam walks and chews gum. Your thoughts?
Gary, as my witness, I literally looked over to you like 3 times during the game. I was like, Gary, I don't know how to deal with this. Like, this team looks good. This team looks great. I was like, Gary, what do I do? But no, I mean, it's great. I've been covering this team for going on my 3rd year now, and I haven't seen this type of product on the field, since I got here. And I always say, from the first day that I got, down to Coral Gables, watching the first practice till now, the team looks completely different across the board, from offensive line, defensive back, quarterbacks, wide receivers. Everything looks different. And, that's the vision that Mario had. I know it's not there yet, but he's taken some big strides, some big steps to getting it there. And I feel like this year is that first glimpse of what he's really, really trying to do with the program. And I absolutely love it. But yeah, Gary, I was asking you, man, Gary, like, what do I do right now? I don't know how to react to the team looking this good so early, still keeping it clean.
Hey, by the way, I see there were people walking outside, literally almost in tears, saying, I can't believe he's our quarterback. I can't believe he's our quarterback. That's what they were saying. And I was like, me neither.
I was texting people like, oh my God, did you see that pass? Like that one that he laid over the shoulder to Horton on the sideline, and he followed it up with a sidearm rope. That ball that he threw to Jacoby George at the back of the end zone, that traveled 37 yards in the air. He's flipping the thing sidearm with like going against the grain. I mean, very, 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 very impressive. All right, so I think we all agree, the fans agree, everybody agrees that what we saw on Saturday was pretty darn good. If Chris Gahn says if Miami plays like that every week, he doesn't see anybody beating us on our schedule. Nobody. Lamar, I walked out of that stadium with the same impression. Are we getting ahead of ourselves with those kind of thoughts?
If grandma had a penis, she'd be grandpa. So that man, that's a tough one. We hope that Mario continues to keep the focus down there and that leadership. Sitting in the equipment room today, talking to the equipment manager, talking about the leadership council and how it's so different from when he was at Texas A&M, and these guys really, even like goes down to wearing the same shoes. Nobody's out there trying to wear one black, one orange, one purple, all that stuff. Everybody's on the same page. The leadership council makes sure that, this is some good stuff, man, because it's giving the players a little bit of ownership in this whole deal, and it gives Mario and the coaches time to do other things. It had to be easier on Jimmy, and it had to be easier on Dennis, knowing that if we had a session at 3:00, they didn't have to call us or they didn't have to run us down because the players were doing it themselves. And this is how it is. This is what we've been looking for, because remember, a couple years ago, the quarterback didn't even have the phone numbers of the receivers. They weren't even talking, except when they came to practice. I think this is an entirely different ground down there in Coral Gables on Green Tree, an entirely different team that finally Mario has something to build upon. And I'm looking forward to it. I truly am looking forward to it.
Well, the Crib 305, he loves when people say we have seen this from Miami before and they pump the hype train, but we haven't had a quarterback back like this. So no, nobody has seen this. And I said that at the beginning of the show. We've had great quarterbacks, but nothing with the style of this guy. LT, like you played not just in college, but some pretty good quarterbacks. one that wore number 13.
Mm.
How big of a difference does having, elite quarterback make to a football team?
Well, when you have a guy that, when you say like a Dan Marino, and not comparing him to Dan Marino, but a guy that basically demanded your control, demanded the control of the whole offense, demanded your best. It's entirely different. When you get younger guys in there, like I played with Trent Dilfer, he was terrible, like absolutely terrible. Like when he's on TV, I turn it off. If he came in my house as a coach, I say get out. You know what I mean? He was bad. But and that was just because he was young and he didn't really understand. He didn't know how to be a true leader. But you have these guys that come along every now and then, and I really believe the quarterback we had, Derek King, probably could have been along that mode as far as being a leader, but he got hurt, but this guy, man, he doesn't even put himself in the position. Like the way he was moving around in that pocket, I'm telling you, he was back there chilling. I'm like, hey, man, somebody's going to eventually hit him, and nobody was coming. And then when they did get close, he just calmly stepped to the side. I was like, whoa. Like, this makes for an exciting season. It really does. And as long as our offensive line continues to play well, keep him upright, the receivers continue to mature, and play together as one. The tight ends continue to come to show up, and the running backs, man, you got different styles, but they're pretty damn good. You know what, Martinez reminds me a lot of Le'Veon Bell, like the way he's just so patient. He's patient. He's just patient, and then when he explodes, he's gonna try to run something over. He hit that one DB on our sideline. I thought he killed him. I mean, he literally like lifted him up off his feet. I was like, dang. But this is all a team, again, that Mario has and that staff has put together. They made the right purchases. That's what I say. They made the right purchases. And game one was definitely a great show. A great show.
Cuban Damas, he wants to keep me honest. I don't know why he would want me to be honest, but he's asking what was the hire process with Mario. Great hire, but ADs always have their guy. This was no AD having his guy. Dan Radakovich was in the process of being hired, but had not been hired yet. This was an all-out pursuit of one candidate that there was a consensus was the right guy to come lead this program. And it was a great consensus because when you look at the way that Mario acquires talent. And, I think that this NIL, quite honestly, Lamar, hurts Mario. It really does. He's one of the best recruiters in the country. But now with so many of these kids, it's all about how much are you going to pay me? Are you going to give me more? Miami lost a recruit this week because Auburn offered him more money than he thought he was going to get from Miami. Everybody thinks Miami's throwing all this money around, and they do have a very nice NIL budget, but they also have a plan. Like, they have a system in place where guys at different positions are worth X number of dollars. And they're, they learned the hard way in year one when they kind of overreached for some guys coming out of high school that ended up not making it, and they had to cut them loose because they were eating up too much salary cap, so to speak. And that's the other side of NIL. But the point I'm making is I don't think this whole system where everybody's worried about money is to Mario Cristobal's benefit. Like, he was an ace recruiter and he beat people based on his ability to recruit them and sell them on his program. Now with the majority of these recruits, if you're not their best NIL deal, you're probably not going to win. But even in this world of NIL, guys, what we're seeing is Mario has a plan, and he is mastering the system that he's been dealt with here, like everybody else, and he's doing it better than most people because he's combining traditional recruiting with the transfer portal. They're doing a better job of talent evaluation, and he's really slaying the process. You guys agree?
I definitely I agree. The whole thing is going to boil down to it being such a long season and being able to manage. And it goes back to what Malik was saying about these kids having this money, being able to manage and make sure that they don't get beyond themselves. Because hey, week 1 was a great game. Week 2 will probably be a great game. Week 3 will probably be a great game. But as it gets harder, how are they still doing the same things that they were doing going into week 1? That's the question.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking, it's easy to say all these things going into FAMU, Ball State, USF, but when you're in the middle of the ACC, when you're game in and game out, teams, trying to knock you off the pedestal because you're getting all this hype, you're getting Miami's back, all this stuff. Teams are going to give you your best shot week in and week out, and going out to Cal and making that trip, for your first ACC game, that's going to be a little different. That's going to be something that the program, no one in the program has ever done. Obviously, Mario played on the West Coast, but not an ACC opponent out there. I just think, once they start getting through ACC play, that's when I can really, really, really start drinking Kool-Aid and say, hey, these guys are, going unbeaten. But once they get through that ACC, those first few games, that's when we really, really know what this team is made of.
I want to see them go to Louisville and beat Louisville, which is going to be sitting there waiting. I'm expecting that to be a night game.
I might have to go to that. I might have to show my face again in that one.
Yeah, I'm expecting that
one. Lamar's back.
Brahm's going to be sitting there with a offense locked and loaded, and they're going to test the defense. And it's going to be, I think it's like I said, it's going to be a night game on the road at Louisville. LT, you could write a book about what that's like. That's the one I got circled. That's the show me moment, I think, of the regular season. Unless Florida State gets a lot better.
I want to see that. I want to see that USF game too. That's an intriguing game to me.
I still want to see the Virginia Tech game too, because I know they lost to Vanderbilt, but they bring back the most productivity from last year. I spoke with some guys on staff this summer. They said that's a team that they were kind of saying, all right, these guys might give us a test. Obviously, like I said, they lost to Vanderbilt, but got a really good quarterback. They bring back a ton of production, bring back a ton of guys that played meaningful football last year. So they might have lost that first game, but I'm not sleeping on them by any means.
How do you lose the smart guys? Go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry about that.
So, obviously, they got the nation's attention on Saturday. Okay, you see Cam Ward, number 1 on the Heisman. They're in the AP poll at number 12. But you want to know when you've truly arrived? Go ahead, ask me when, Izubee.
When do you truly arrive, Gary? When do you know you're there?
When opposing fans infiltrate the Lamar Thomas show.
Yeah.
Bama Bob says, we're all confident, but what them Bama boys when they come duck hunting, y'all will go hiding. LT, I'm leaving that one to you in only how you can respond to that.
Well, Bama, y'all gonna have some issues yourself, so I think you need to worry about old Auburn and the rest of that old SEC, and we'll see who comes out of this thing, and because I don't know, I truly believe your head coach is maybe in over his head, but we'll see. You probably thinking the same thing about us, so you worry about yours, and we'll worry about ours, and we'll see you when we see you.
He's talking some pretty good smack here.
Oh yeah, unrolled tide.
Now let me see. I'm looking for some more. The stadium is now called Cam Ward Field. I like that one. Boy, Bama Bob, man, he's just laying it.
Yeah, he's been on there the whole time, and
he is just laying it on everybody.
Hey, you're doing something right. You're doing something right if you got the fans, opposing fans in here.
If we wouldn't have had that great opening game, he would not be wasting his time on here. He'd be calling Paul Feinberg or Feinbaum or whatever the hell his name is, and he'd be trying to get on that line. So,
wow, this is some classic stuff going on here.
I've been reading it the whole time. I've been trying not to pay attention, but trying to pay attention to this too. And it's pretty interesting. But again, as long as we take care of our business, and we'll see those guys.
Well, I'm just looking here real quick to see if if they got rid of Bama Bob, and there's some constructive
No, he's
constructive
still on here.
comments. LT, while I'm looking, I wanted to talk to you about Shannon Dawson. And there was a lot of debate about Shannon last year. Tyler Van Dyke wasn't playing well, and it kind of amazed me how good he looked on Saturday. The way he game planned for that game, the varied formations he was using, the way Cam Ward was handling it all. You coached for a long time at different levels. At the end of the day, it really is all about the players, isn't it?
You got to have, they say the Jimmys and the Joes. You got to have those guys, man, because at the end of the day, you really have to scheme more when you don't have really good players, and so it takes a lot out of you. But if you have really good players, it gives you frees up more time to do other things, to think down the road a little bit more. And what they were able to do, I love the game plan. When I heard the game plan and I got to see it in person, it was right on point with what they wanted. They wanted to run the ball effectively between the tackles. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to make sure Cam Ward didn't have to come into the swamp and have to throw it around 50 times to try to win the game. Now, could he have done it? I think he probably could, but he didn't need that. They were able to run the ball effectively. I mean, hard yards too. They weren't easy yards. They grinded it out 3-4 yards. Then they bust a big one, and it was beautiful to watch because you knew at some point, like Malik said, those linebackers had to come forward. And once they came forward, how many passes did we hit across the middle? We dropped one across the middle, but we hit 2 or 3 right in that little empty board where the safeties were back, right in that little board. And I mean, that's what it's all about. When you're able to execute your game plan like he was able to, call those plays, keep them off balance, have them worried about the run. And then I love the play with they were able to bring Brown across the formation and kick out the safety or corner for the easy score. I mean, that was beautiful. But It was all by design, and you got to give Dawson a high grade on this game because this was one of his best games he's called since I've seen
it. Really was like very much like Texas A&M last year, and it just struck me like you watch the world of football, and so many coaches get elevated off of seasons that they have with difference-making players, and then they go somewhere, like a Louisville or somewhere, and become a head coach, and they don't make it. Because it was like a little artificial because they were propped up by the talent that they had in their previous destination. So I thought it was really interesting how I thought Shannon Dawson really looked good Saturday with a different cast really running what I imagine was a lot of the same plays that they've run in the past. I mean, I know he threw some variations, formations in there and stuff, but I doubt the offense was that different from what they did, say last year. It was just when you have that different guy behind center and a different cast running it, it can look different. All right. Johnny Blaze wants to know, and Izubee, let me start this one with you, and then we'll get Lamar to chime in. What are you looking for in week 2 from the FAMU game?
I just don't want to see any drop off because, obviously, no disrespect to FAMU, but, they're not, they're FCS program. Obviously, Miami's expected to win this game and by a lot. But I want to see these guys, come in with that same mentality, with that same dog, just come in, play the game clean, play the game healthy, get out there, just do their thing. And that's what I'm looking for the most. Obviously, you want to see those younger guys play, but like Lamar said, older guys have to handle business first, put the game out of reach, and let those young guys have some fun. Go out there and eat. Last year when they played Bethune-Cookman, that's when Ruben May got his first sack and really made a name for himself and really started rolling after that. So hey, maybe we see a young guy on the defensive side of the ball or the offense side of the ball get their first touchdown and really give them that confidence. But just want to see another clean game, no stupid penalties, no penalties at all, and let the young guys eat in the third and fourth quarter.
LT, what are you looking for Saturday?
Well, I mean, just what IC said. I mean, I want to see those young guys get an opportunity, and I really want to see those guys get their due, because it's a long season, and we're going to need those younger guys, because you have guys go down and they're going to miss extended periods of time. You got to have somebody step in and not miss a beat, and it comes with experience, and you're going to they get experience on Green Tree, but it's nothing like game experience. Game experience is entirely different, because the lights are on, the referees, and all that good stuff that goes along with it. So that's what I want to see. I just want to see this game, those young guys be able to get in there. So that means those older guys or those starters must take care of business and keep a clean game, no dumb penalties. Unlike what Florida had, that's another thing we didn't talk about. They had some really dumb penalties, and so in the early part of the season, you see that a lot. But I think Miami did a really good job of being prepared, and Mario harping on, don't beat yourselves.
Who impressed you guys the most, the trenches or Cam Ward, Izubee?
I got to go with Cam Ward, honestly, because some of the stuff he was doing this past weekend, I had to pick my jaw off, from the floor. It's just like, this guy's just doing everything so effortlessly, just, commanding the game. That first touchdown, I saw like on a replay, somebody was like, it looked like he threw a fadeaway touchdown. He was just back in the pocket, just dropped it, dinked it in. And then his ability to keep plays alive, last year, you didn't really see that. Last 2 years, obviously Tyler Van Dyke's a completely different quarterback, but I don't think Tyler Van Dyke's rolling out the pocket into Jacoby Jordan's back of the end zone like that. And, I feel like his scrambling isn't like a part of his game that gets talked about a lot, but that first drive, he has a 12-yard scramble to move the chains. He has a 24-yard scramble to move the chains. That adds some pressure on the defense. All right, if we're holding these wide receivers long enough, he's going to break away. That's just another component you have to, watch during the game. So obviously love what the trenches did, but man, that dude at number one really impressed me.
LT?
You couldn't have said it better, IC. I mean, I want to give the guys in the trenches some credit. I mean, they played an outstanding game. They were able to keep them upright for the most part, and they frustrated. They really frustrated Florida's defensive line and linebackers. They frustrated. And they punched them in the mouth on run plays and pass plays. But Cam, man, I mean, you walk away from that stadium saying, "Wow," I know it's the first game. I hate to put the crown on his head already, but he deserved it that day. He truly deserved everything he's getting from that day, and I hope it continues. And because this could be a really magical year if he's doing those things.
The trenches were good, but I mean, I think they just have so much upside with the running game. Florida's front is decent. It's an SEC front. They got a 400 and something pound defensive tackle. And I thought they were having some problems at times getting movement. They are going to get, it was the first game that group of 5 guys were playing together. And I think we're going to see a lot of improvement from them as the year goes on. And I think we're going to see a lot longer running plays and a lot more success running the football. So I'm with Cam Ward as well. All right, LT Rod. Well, I'll get this off because we're blocking you here. It's such a long message, but telling Clifton Abraham hello and goodbye, baby, made me fall in love with the Canes as a kid. His favorite gift from his father was a Russell Athletic 36 and a Lamar signed program from the West Virginia game. You remember that moment?
The Clifton Abraham moment?
Yeah.
Or signing his West Virginia picture?
You probably remember the Abraham moment more than the picture.
Yeah, I mean that was special. I mean it's a big game, state rivalry game, and Gino made an outstanding throw. The O-line, they were in the blitz, and we talked about that game today, Mario, Gino, and myself. That play actually should not have been allowed. We had 12 men on the field, and we ran the running back. So Gino always says, the freaking Lamar, he just lines up wherever he wants, where he knows the ball was coming. You're right. You're right. I was smart enough. You damn right. And so I put myself in the running back position. So the running back was supposed to go out the huddle, but I guess he didn't see me there. And when we lined up, he was still on the field. And Jim said, "Get off the field, get off the field." So Donnell Bennett went running off the field, and they didn't call. They let it go. And then we snapped the ball once he got off the field, and we threw the ball. So yeah, I do remember that. Thank you, Rod, for bringing that up. I'll have a great ride home tonight.
What did you think of? I'm not gonna call it taunting, but some of the celebration that we saw on the field. Fortunately, they didn't get called for anything. We had ACC refs out there, and they weren't looking to sandbag Miami. What was your general thought? About the gator chops and all that stuff that we saw out there.
If it was the other way around, it was going to happen in a rivalry game like that. There's a lot of tension, and whether it's Florida State against Miami, or Miami against Florida State, or Miami against Florida, or Florida against Florida State. I mean, that's just the nature of the game. These guys, for the most part, 80% of the team probably have played against each other in high school. So, it's all part of it. I mean, that's if you've never played pickup basketball at the park, then you probably would say, why are they doing that? But if you played pickup basketball at the park, you know that it's about talking noise and talking trash. And, as long as they kept it quick, precise, and wasn't pointing towards the other team, then, the refs let it go a little bit.
We'll do a couple more. We'll do a couple more here. Callie Cane's talking about packing the rock on Saturday, and that the players deserve it. Izubee, will the fans show up for the FAMU game?
I think they will be. I feel like there's enough buzz and energy around the program right now. A lot of people weren't able to see the Cam Ward show on that Miami offense and defense, last week up in Gainesville. So I feel like a lot of people are going to be in Hard Rock Stadium 6 p.m. on Saturday watching all these guys. And obviously, I feel like it's just the home opener. I feel like everybody has to show up for the home opener, no matter if it's against, Georgia, if it's against, the worst team in the FCS. You kind of have to show up for that game. And, someone said on the message board, how many people we think are going to be. I think Hard Rock holds around like 65,000. I think you'll see probably 50,000, maybe some more. But I'm super excited to just feel the energy and see all the people in the building on Saturday.
All right, man. Well, a lot of excitement. I think that the fans will show up Saturday. I think they want to celebrate this team and the possibilities of, what they can do this season. Izubee, before we let you go, any parting thoughts tonight?
I love this show, man. I feel like it was awesome. LT, thank you for letting me come on and crash the show. Add some young blood to it. Gary, thank you for having me on too. But yeah, like I said, I just want to see this team, bottle up that energy they had against Florida and just bring it with them every week, every stop this season. And excited to see where things go. Hopefully everybody stays healthy. And if they're winning, man, that recruiting's going to get a lot more fun and make my job covering recruiting a lot easier too. So fingers crossed with that as well.
Well, I tell you what, I'm happy that you're on the show. You bring hair to the show, because Gary and I don't.
You don't have that kind of hair.
We lacking a little bit, so we appreciate that, man. We appreciate it. What a great job you did, and I can't wait for this year, man. This is going to be a great year. This is going to be a special year, and welcome to the show, my brother.
All right, IC, go get some sleep, man. Thanks for being part of the show. All right, so we're going to do word association like we always do to finish the show. And I'm going to start, LT, with James Colsey. His dad, I knew his dad really well. And I remember, his dad was the athletic director at my high school. And he was also a coach and just a great dude. Like, I would love to talk to James Colsey and ask him about his dad, and I don't know any, what is, I hope his dad's still alive. I mean, I just don't even, I have no idea, but he was a little kid, and, now here he is, the head coach at FAMU. You know him, James Colsey.
Well, I had a chance to talk to him earlier this summer, and he just wanted to talk about when he was somehow he was at South Miami, or maybe his dad was there or something, but he was like how they came up to Gainesville Buchholz undefeated. And he said, man, you basically kicked our ass by yourself. And I was like, thank you. I remember that. But yeah, he's worked his way up. He was at FSU. He was, he deserved the job. I'm glad that he got the job. He's going to do a great job over there. Watching that Norfolk State game, they kind of got off to a little slow start. That's to be expected because just like us, they've added players. Everybody wanted to go to FAMU after last year, being the champions. So all these guys, and they had guys drafted. So all these guys that probably would have gone to other smaller schools or bigger schools, some of them bigger schools, had decided to go to Florida A&M. So they got a pretty good team, and they were able to show that against Norfolk State in the second half. So he's going to bring them in here. They're going to be ready to play. And, a team like that is always going to have a chip on their shoulder. And all you have to do is say, you wanted to be there, show them why you should have been there. And so they'll come out ready to play. And it's up for us, the University of Miami, to do just what we did back in the day. You got to put them in their place. Them Rattlers, they will strike again. You got to put them in their place early. And, it's going to be a game, I'm hoping, that not wishing anything bad on anything FAMU, because all my relatives went to FAM. So I'm part Rattler. But, Miami just needs to take care of business. And hopefully no one gets hurt for FAMU. And this is one of the things I hate about these games. Well, these teams, FCS games, they might get money, but they really screw themselves for the season because a lot of their players in these games get hurt, and I don't wish any injury on these guys, but it's when you move up and you play against a team that's ranked in the top 20, that's different than playing FCS school that's not that good. So, I don't wish any bad on. I wanted to come in here and have a good showing, but not that good, James. Not that good.
You mentioned it, so I'll go with it here for word association number 2, Florida State.
Man, it couldn't have happened to a better team, better program up there in Tallahassee. Actually, Florida A&M is actually the best team in Tallahassee. And on December 1st, they have a new bowl game, the Governor Square Mall bowl game at Gene Cox Stadium. FAMU will play Florida State. How about that? Go Seminoles.
Wow. Let's go Xavier Restrepo.
Great player. I mean, he's a hard worker. This kid he's gotten better every year. He works so hard. He wants to be great. You couldn't ask for has to be for Kevin Beard, to have a guy like that in your receiver room. It has to make your job a lot easier because he's always trying to figure out how can he get better. And, he's a leader in that room. He's been there. And, I hope that he continues this year and have a great year because he definitely deserves a shot at the next level. But he's a guy that you can count on. He's made big plays for Tyler Van Dyke and the rest of the quarterbacks, and he's starting to make some for Cam. So I'm excited about his season upcoming this year.
I was talking to some NFL people since the game, and he's really helping himself. I mean, I don't know what he runs. I mean, if I had to guess, 4.6 maybe or whatever, but the way he keeps improving himself has caught people's attention. If he could get himself to the point where he can run in the 4.5s when it comes time for the combines and workouts, pro day workouts in the spring, he might find himself, mid-round type of draft pick as opposed to what probably would have been a 7th round or undraftable free agent. Let me ask you this before we go to the last couple. How big of a difference is it with the DBs in the National Football League? My feeling has always been you better be able to run. But like you weren't a 4.3 guy. You played for several years, but you had the size, the frame. A guy like that, like how big of a deal is just the raw speed when you're going against a league where all the DBs run 4.4?
Well, for him, he's such a good route runner. He can cut on a dime. He's really in control of himself. when you watch him, he sets people up. I mean, he's been doing this a long time, since the days of Deerfield Beach and all. He grew up, playing against tough competition. He didn't want to go to Pinecrest or nothing. He was playing against the toughest competition he could find, and it's showing. I mean, he's not scared. He ain't backing down for nobody. He loves running routes. He loves catching the football. I just love his spirit, because he always wants to talk about how can he get better. And that's very refreshing these days, because most of these guys already think they're better, but they're not. And all he's trying to do is continue to get better. So I love the kid, man. I love him and his family.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's go with Cam Ward.
I mean, we've talked about it in the whole show, man. I can't wait for Saturday. I can't wait for Saturday. The first series, first quarter. Hopefully he's out by the second quarter. But I just, I want more. I want to see more. I mean, I can't wait for Ball State. I can't wait for USF. I want to see more, because it's just a refreshing feeling to see after what we've seen in the previous years from our quarterback position. Not taking anything away from Emory. He got hurt, but it's just been subpar play ever since my man went to SMU and didn't take the TBD with him. It's just been subpar play. So I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing him and what the offense has to bring these next couple of games.
You mentioned the second quarter. You hope he's out of the game by the second quarter. What's your philosophy on playing elite starters in a game like this? I mean, can you imagine I don't even want to mention it, but what's your feeling on playing your elite players in a game like the next 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm. Well, again, it boils down to guys executing and also getting experience for those guys behind you. It's a long season, and it sets up well that they got these 2 games coming up, because one is harder than the other. FAMU is an excellent FCS team. If we're going to play an FCS team, that's the team to play, because they do have some good ball players. Then you move up a little bit and play Ball State. I think it fits well. I really believe that we'll get to see some of our young talent if Miami takes care of business. That's what you want. That's how. If you have to have a perfect 3 games, this is how it goes. You have a really tough game in the beginning, which should have been tough, but you blow the team out. Then you go to a FCS team, but a good FCS team. So you're getting your guys, the third and fourth string guys, a chance to play against good competition. Not really good, but good competition. And then you go to Ball State. You play Ball State, which is should be better competition, and they get some more playing time. It's not a stat game for the guys, so they're going to miss out on the stats, but you're going to be getting the team better for the later part of the year, and that's where the championships are won, the latter part of the year.
I guess what I was getting at is you got high hopes. Like they showed us enough on Saturday that we have a different level of hopes and expectations for this season, moving forward. And well, I was talking and I've always struggled with this, because you got to play every game. You want the stats and all that other stuff, but the exposing of your differentiating talent in a game that you're probably going to win by 50. As a coach, you've been there. Every game you guys played at Louisville with Lamar Jackson wasn't the Super Bowl. How do you strike that balance?
I mean, again, it's all about making sure you knowing exactly what you want to get out of the game, and you're hoping that that's what the outcome is. That because you want to play this young talent, you want to make sure your guys get in, execute the game plan, and then able to get out. And you want to see what your young talent can do, because when you promise these young players an opportunity to come to school and maybe to play early, and the way the red shirt thing is set up now, this is their opportunity to get in the game and get some playing time, and you evaluate them, and you'll know whether you want to redshirt them or not. But remember, this is a 16. If you go all the way, that's 16 games. That's a lot of games, and this is like being in the pros. I mean, by game 8 in the pros, I was like, damn. This is a long season, and we still got 8 more to go. So this is entirely different for the college game. So you're going to need as much depth as you can have.
All right, let's finish off the evening with Mario Cristobal.
Mario, I mean, great showing, great enthusiasm, great everything in the first game. These upcoming games are obviously about what I just talked about, but it's also making sure, again, that you're getting some of these young guys opportunity to play. Keeping them hungry, letting them feel what it's like, but also making sure your team, doesn't go backwards. No dumb penalties. You want to make sure you keep just the whole thing of doing the right thing. Making sure that you're playing the game hard, but you're playing it smart. And knowing him, he's harping on that, and it's going to be great to watch these next couple games. I can't wait for Saturday. Can't wait to watch the Hurricanes win. Can't wait to watch the Seminoles struggle against Memphis State. Can't wait to watch the Gators, the Crocodiles fumble again. This is just football is great right now. It's great when the Hurricanes on top. It's just a beautiful world.
I guess we got some thanks that are due. We got to thank everybody for watching tonight. Great audience out there. Thank you for all the guys that commented in the live chat. And every week we will make sure that we get to your questions and make that a big part of the show, because we want to talk about what's on your minds. And we got to thank CaneSport once again for being the presenting sponsor of the Lamar Thomas Show. Again, if you need some Canes gear to get ready for the rest of the season, you go to their store at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. You can go there 15 minutes from Hard Rock Stadium. You can go there before the game Saturday. Load up. If you're not local, CaneSport.com is where it's at. You could shop the entire inventory that you see behind Lamar there, and there's a lot of it behind me as well. And just load up on really anything you need for yourself, your significant other, your kids, your pet. They have it all at CaneSport and CaneSport.com. So make sure you check them out. We will be back next week to talk about
getting choked up, Gary. You're getting choked up, Gary. We'll be back next week to talk about the Florida A&M game. And hopefully the band shows up. That's what I'm hoping.
I heard they're not bringing the band. I can't believe it.
Man, that would be – don't put that rumor out there, man. Come on to the game. Come on to the game.
Anyway, thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.